Toss-up 1. Physics. Multiple choice. Water flows at 2.0 meters per second through a tube of radius 1 centimeter. The dynamic viscosity of the water is 1.0 times 10 to the power of -3 Pascal seconds. Which of the following best represents the Reynolds number and the nature of the flow, given that the density of water is 1.0 times 10 to the power of 3 kilograms per cubic meter? W. 40,000, turbulent, X. 40,000, laminar. Y. 20,000, turbulent. Z. 20,000, laminar. Answer. W. 40,000, turbulent. Bonus 1. Physics. Multiple choice. A 1000 watt oven is connected to a 240 volt AC power source. Which of the following is nearest the peak voltage across the oven? W. 120, X. 270. Y. 340. Z. 370. Answer. Y. 340. Toss-up 2. Energy multiple choice. Which of the following cooking pot materials is most useful for an induction cooktop? W. Copper, X. Cast iron. Y. Aluminum. Z. Glass. Answer, X. Cast iron. Bonus 2. Energy short answer. What functional unit in coal-based power production efficiently removes particulate matter? Answer. Electrostatic precipitator. Toss-up 3. Chemistry. Short answer. Which approximation is used in quantum mechanics to separate the electronic and vibrational wave functions into isolated components? Answer. Born-Oppenheimer. Bonus 3. Chemistry. Multiple choice. In which of the following scattering angles is Rayleigh scattering from unpolarized light the most intense? W. 0 degree, X. 45 degree. Y. 90 degree. Z. 180 degree. Answer. Y. 90 degree. Toss-up 4. Biology. Short answer. What tree is deciduous, dioecious, and has leaves that do not possess a central vein but do have dichotomous venation? Answer. Ginkgo biloba. Bonus 4. Biology. Multiple choice. In the Mendelssohn experiment, the mechanism for DNA replication was investigated using Escherichia coli as a model. E. coli was grown in medium with heavy nitrogen until all the DNA was labeled with the heavy isotope. Then, the E. coli was transferred to fresh medium with lighter nitrogen and the bacteria replicated once. The DNA was extracted from the bacteria using a density gradient to separate light nitrogen DNA, heavy nitrogen DNA, and light/heavy mixed DNA to decide whether replication was conservative or semi-conservative. Which of the following results was predicted if replication was conservative? W. All the DNA would be light, X. All of the DNA would be an intermediate density. Y. Half of the DNA would be light, and half would be heavy. Z. Half of the DNA would be intermediate, and half would be light. Answer. Y. Half of the DNA would be light, and half would be heavy. Toss-up 5. Math. Multiple choice. Which of the following equations represents two intersecting lines? W. X squared plus y squared equals 9 x squared minus y squared equals 9. Y. X squared plus 4 times y squared equals 1. Z. X squared minus y squared equals 0. Answer. Z. X squared minus y squared equals 0. Bonus 5. Math. Short answer. Find the open intervals over which a function whose derivative is 5x squared times open parenthesis x plus 5 close parenthesis times this quantity x minus 3 is increasing. Answer. The open interval from -infinity to -5 and the open interval from 3 to infinity. Toss-up 6. Earth and space multiple choice. The helium flash occurs in what stage of stellar evolution? W. Main sequence, X. Subgiant branch. Y. Asymptotic giant branch. Z. Tip of the red giant branch. Answer. Z. Tip of the red giant branch. Bonus 6. Earth and space short answer. The spectral lines of stars have a finite width. What are the two phenomena responsible for this observation? Answer. Doppler effect and Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Toss-up 7. Physics. Multiple choice. Which of the following experiments provided evidence in favor of the wave theory of light? W. Young's double-slit experiment, X. Michelson-Morley experiment. Y. Robert Millikan's oil drop experiment. Z. Huygens experiment. Answer. W. Young's double-slit experiment. Bonus 7. Physics. Multiple choice. If bombarding a beryllium target by alpha particles produces a neutron, which of the following must also be produced? W. Lithium, X. Boron. Y. Carbon. Z. Nitrogen. Answer. Y. Carbon. Toss-up 8. Chemistry. Multiple choice. In a recent experiment, you identified an amino acid at the active site of an enzyme. Given your knowledge that basic amino acids are generally found at enzyme active sites, which of the following is most likely to be the amino acid that you have found? W. Histidine, X. Aspartate. Y. Serine. Z. Phenylalanine. Answer. W. Histidine. Bonus 8. Chemistry. Short answer. In two-photon fluorescence spectroscopy, it is common to use a molecule that has a very strong two-photon absorption cross-section. What are the names of the highly fluorescent and commonly used molecules that are generally abbreviated CV and GFP? Answer. Crystal violet and green fluorescent protein. Toss-up 9. Biology. Short answer. What is the name of the symbiont that can have crustose, foliose, or fruiticose forms? Answer. Lichen. Bonus 9. Biology. Multiple choice. Which of the following types of DNA damage or distortion would be most likely to lead to an insertion or deletion during replication, resulting in a frameshift mutation? W. Depurination, X. Alkylation. Y. Tautomerization. Z. Intercalation. Answer. Z. Intercalation. Toss-up 10. Math. Short answer. Evaluate tangent of the inverse sine of -1/2. Answer, negative square root of 3/3. Bonus 10. Math. Short answer. Evaluate the integral from 1 to infinity of the fraction with numerator x squared and denominator open parenthesis x cubed plus 3 close parenthesis squared dx. Answer, 1/12. Toss-up 11. Earth and space multiple choice. What chemical, produced by planktonic algae, is the major source of cloud condensation nuclei over the open oceans? W. Nitric acid, X. Dimethyl sulfide. Y. Hydrochloric acid. Z. Sodium carbonate peroxyhydrate. Answer, X. Dimethyl sulfide. Bonus 11. Earth and space multiple choice. The rostral bone evolved to allow for the powerful beak-like bite characteristic of what dinosaur group? W. Theropods, X. Ceratopsians. Y. Sauropods. Z. Hadrosaurs. Answer, X. Ceratopsians. Toss-up 12. Physics. Multiple choice. Which of the following ways will allow you to increase the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor? W. Decreasing the plate separation, X. Increasing the plate separation. Y. Decreasing the surface area of each plate. Z. Increasing the charge on the plates. Answer. W. Decreasing the plate separation. Bonus 12. Physics. Multiple choice. An electron and positron collide and annihilate one another. Which of the following is nearest the energy released in mega electron volts? W 0.5, X 1, Y 2, Z 10. Answer X 1. Toss-up 13. Energy short answer. What is the electrode material of choice for capacitive deionization of seawater? Answer. Carbon. Bonus 13. Energy short answer. Microwave ovens work by creating radiation energy that is absorbed by the water, fats, and sugars in food, which in turn is converted to atomic motion and heat. Providing your answer in scientific notation with one significant figure, if the wavelength of microwave radiation is 10 centimeters, what is the frequency in hertz? Answer, 3 times 10 to the power of 9. Toss-up 14. Chemistry. Multiple choice. Iron minerals can be subdivided into different categories based on their gangue content. Into which of the following categories would you place a mineral that is made up primarily of aluminum oxide? W. Basic gangue, X. Acid gangue. Y. Autofluxing. Z. Primary gangue. Answer, X. Acid gangue. Bonus 14. Chemistry. Short answer. Which principle of quantum mechanics determines the transition probability for a molecule, based on the overlap of its vibrational states? Answer. Frank Condon. Toss-up 15. Biology. Short answer. Hemosiderin is a protein used to store what chemical that can be toxic when free in the cell? Answer. Iron. Bonus 15. Biology. Short answer. Consider only the compartments of the chloroplast directly impacted by the proton movement in photosynthesis. If a chemical were to block ATP synthase from being able to transport protons, which compartment would increase in acidity? Answer. Thylakoid space. Toss-up 16. Math. Multiple choice. Which of the following is a first-order nonlinear ordinary differential equation? W, y prime plus y equals 0, x, y double prime minus 2y squared minus 2 equals 0. Y prime minus x, y equals 0. Z, y prime minus 2y squared minus 2 equals 0. Answer. Z, y prime minus 2y squared minus 2 equals 0. Bonus, 16. Math. Short answer. What is the area, in square meters, of a triangle whose sides are of length 10, 12, and 14 meters? Answer, 24 times the square root of 6. Toss-up, 17. Earth and space multiple choice. Which of the following mechanisms transfers angular momentum in accretion disks? W. Viscosity, x. Gravity. Y. Advection. Z. Coriolis forces. Answer. W. Viscosity. Bonus, 17. Earth and space multiple choice. The secondary rainbow in a double rainbow requires which of the following optical processes? W. 1 refraction and 2 internal reflections, x. 1 internal reflection and 2 refractions. Y. 2 internal reflections and 2 refractions. Z. 2 refractions, 1 reflection, and surface diffraction. Answer. Y. 2 internal reflections and 2 refractions. Toss-up, 18. Biology. Multiple choice. Which of the following marine snails produces a deadly toxin? W. Blood arc, x. Amethyst olive. Y. Eastern milampus. Z. Geographic cone. Answer. Z. Geographic cone. Bonus, 18. Biology. Multiple choice. The toxin from the deathcap mushroom is alpha-amanitin. This toxin primarily binds and inhibits RNA polymerase II. Transcription of which of the following types of RNA would be most impacted by poisoning with alpha-amanitin? W. siRNA, X. mRNA. Y. rRNA. Z. tRNA. Answer, X. mRNA. Toss-up, 19. Physics. Multiple choice. The wavelength shift of light from a quasar gives the recessional speed v is almost equal to 2.18 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. If the Hubble constant is 21.8 millimeters per second per light-year, what is the approximate distance of the quasar in light-years? W, 10 to the power of 8, x, 10 to the power of 9. Y, 10 to the power of 10. Z, 10 to the power of 11. Answer. Y, 10 to the power of 10. Bonus, 19. Physics. Multiple choice. A lady in a spacecraft traveling away from the Earth at 4/5 the speed of light gives birth to a child at 1 p.m., which, according to the spacecraft's clock, is only 3 hours after the spacecraft departed from the Earth. Assuming constant acceleration during those 3 hours, what is the child's birth time according to a stationary clock on the Earth? W. 2 p.m. X. 4 p.m. Y. 6 p.m. Z. 7:30 p.m. Answer. W. 2 p.m. Toss-up. 20. Energy multiple choice. The first solid-state quantum process was created at Yale University in 2009. The 2 qubits, artificial atoms, were made up of a billion atoms acting like a single atom that could occupy 2 different energy states. The billion atoms were comprised of what element? W. Silicon. X. Aluminum. Y. Titanium. Z. Copper. Answer. X. Aluminum. Bonus. 20. Energy short answer. Water is the product of 4 electron transfer in a polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cell. What is the product of 2 electron transfer? Answer. Hydrogen peroxide. Toss-up. 21. Chemistry. Multiple choice. You want to process a fiber polymer whose solvent cannot be melted or evaporated. Which of the following techniques should be used? W. Wet spinning. X. Dry spinning. Y. Extrusion. Answer. W. Wet spinning. Bonus. 21. Chemistry. Short answer. Deuterochloroform is often used as the internal standard in carbon-13 nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. At what chemical shift value in parts per million is the resonance centered? Answer. 77.0. Toss-up. 22. Biology. Multiple choice. Which of the following is not in the order Artiodactyla? W. Chevrotain. X. Warthog. Y. Giraffe. Z. Hyrax. Answer. Z. Hyrax. Bonus. 22. Biology. Multiple choice. Which of the following is not true of the platypus? W. They are one of the few venomous mammals. X. They lack teats. Y. Their eggs are holoblastic. Z. They have 10 sex chromosomes. Answer. Y. Their eggs are holoblastic. Toss-up. 23. Math. Short answer. There is a well-shuffled deck of 52 cards containing 13 cards each of spades, clubs, diamonds, and hearts. You draw 2 cards without replacement. What is the probability that both cards are diamonds? Answer: 1/17. Bonus: 23. Math. Short answer. Given the equation x plus 1 over x equals 3, what is the value of x to the fourth plus 1 over x to the fourth? Answer: 47. Toss-up: 24. Earth and space multiple choice. Which of the following is the double degenerate model for type 1 supernovae? W. The cores of a binary system undergo common envelope evolution collapse and explode after iron fusion. X. A red giant overflows its Roche lobe and dumps matter onto a white dwarf until the white dwarf exceeds the Chandrasekhar mass. Y. 2 white dwarfs collide to create a new object, which exceeds the Chandrasekhar mass. Z. A main sequence star overflows its Roche lobe and dumps matter onto a white dwarf until the white dwarf exceeds the Chandrasekhar mass. Answer: Y. 2 white dwarfs collide to create a new object, which exceeds the Chandrasekhar mass. Bonus: 24. Earth and space multiple choice. How is the ratio of oxygen 18 to oxygen 16 useful in serving as a proxy for paleoclimatic temperatures in ice core samples? W. Oxygen 16 is preferentially stored in ice and only released during warmer periods. X. Oxygen 16 changes into oxygen 18 at higher temperatures. Y. Oxygen 18 is released from water molecules at higher temperatures. Z. Water with oxygen 18 freezes at lower temperatures than water with oxygen 16. Answer: W. Oxygen 16 is preferentially stored in ice and only released during warmer periods. Toss-up: 25. Physics. Multiple choice. If the magnitude of a magnetic field is multiplied by 4, by what factor is the magnitude of the energy difference delta E between electron states m sub s equals plus minus 1/2 multiplied? W. 4, x, 2. Y. 1/2. Z. 1/4. Answer: W. 4. Bonus: 25. Physics. Short answer. During Bragg diffraction, X-rays are shown on a crystal to determine the crystal's structure. Providing your answer in scientific notation, if X-rays with 1 nanometer wavelength are incident on a crystal and the second maximum appears at 30 degrees, what is the lattice spacing, in meters, of the crystal being studied? Answer: 2 times 10 to the power of -9.